Our guest warns that Apple's vast investment in China, tens of billions of dollars each year, has left the tech giant dangerously reliant on the regime of Xi Jinping. We are joined by Patrick McGee, originally from Calgary, and author of Apple in China, the Capture of the World's Greatest Company. Patrick, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
My pleasure, Andrew.
If I could set out some of the points you make in the book, you say that Apple has got tangled up in the dragon's tail here. It made vast investments and essentially built or played a huge role in building up China's electronics industry, which now, of course, competes and outcompetes with America's. Talk to us just remind us of the scale of the money that Apple has put into China.
Yeah, I'm not even sure I argue it so much as demonstrate that Apple played the role of Prometheus, handing the Chinese the gift of fire. The number of employees in China that Apple has trained since 2008 is 28 million. I mean, you could go read Tim Cook's own statements in 2016. They had 3 million people working in assembly of Apple products across the country. Staggering figures. I mean, all Chinese demand across all industries accounts for 1 to 2.6 million jobs in America. So one super corporation has more of an impact on jobs in China than all Chinese demand has on America. Apple is so large, it just boggles the mind. And I cite internal documents from 2016 that when Apple was sort of on the back foot and needed to find a new relationship with Beijing, they did their own supply chain study and realized that they were investing, not spending. This is not bill of materials. This is not CapEx. This is investments in China, had reached $55 billion per year, about 23% of revenue.
The one, I've seen one analogy drawn here. The Marshall Plan, of course, was America's helping to rebuild Europe after the Second World War. A lot of it apparently was military aid, but we don't have to delve into that. But
food aid as well.
Okay, yeah, of course, Europe was devastated. But by your calculation, I believe, the amount that Apple has invested in China in inflation-adjusted dollars is twice the size of the Marshall Plan?
Isn't that remarkable? And like, just to have the conversation, I think the dollars is the easiest way to sort of, get people to understand just how large this is. So yeah, if you convert it to 2015 dollars, the Marshall Plan is about $130 billion over 5 years. Tim Cook pledged in 2016 to top Chinese leadership at Zhongnanhai, the sort of White House of China, that they would spend $275 billion over 5 years. That's just the $55 billion, by the way, I just referenced, multiplied by 5. So I couldn't find any corporate spending or investment equivalent. And so I had to go to government efforts. And you realize something like the Biden flagship plan to build chips in America, the CHIPS Act, that's $53 billion over 4 years. So, if you don't like the Marshall Plan analogy, for instance, fine. Take Biden's flagship plan and understand that Apple's investment in China is quadruple that per year. And Gina Raimondo, Commerce Secretary, had called the CHIPS Act a once-in-a-century investment. Slowly digest the implications of what that means to have that sort of investment from America's greatest company in exclusively the high-tech sector, basically every year for the past decade, and going back further if we felt like it.
Now, President Trump backed down. Initially, huge tariffs were threatened on China. Then they cut them radically for electronics goods. But I think part of your concern here is that America should be worrying about electronics imports from China. This is the kind of thing that the United States should be building. Maybe not cheap toys from China, but electronics goods.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's really been the golden era over the last 20 years that Silicon Valley focuses on software and artificial intelligence, things like that, advertising, digital advertising. It certainly made a lot of high margin businesses, and China does the hardware. The trouble is multiple, but one thing is that China doesn't want to be relegated to the low value role, right? They would like to move up the value chain, and that's what we've seen over the last 10 years, where Huawei, Oppo, Vivo, Xiaomi all make extraordinary phones now. That is already coming back to bite Apple. It looks like they're in the third year of declining sales right now in China, and things could get a lot worse. But add to that, I mean, if you're an expert in electronics and making phones, you have the same expertise for making drones and other things that are going to be formidable for building a military. I mean, I don't quite want to say it like this, but I mean, if you are building up the electronics industry in China, you are making it easier for China to annex Taiwan.
Sorry, I've got so much that I want to ask you about. There's talk now that Apple will move some production to India. I think the company claimed as much in its latest quarter. President Trump is saying, don't move it to India, move it to America. But in any case, you say that really there's no alternative to China for Apple, and we have to be careful when we hear stuff being moved to India, for example.
Experts even trying to understand the superiority that China has in electronics manufacturing really struggle to even put it into the right terms. I mean, if you just look at things like, either patents or just any way you can think of to sort of study the topography, China is just a order of magnitude more advanced than anybody else. I mean, they've focused in a sort of Nietzschean will to power way for the last 40 years just into manufacturing. You could replicate that somewhere else. I'm not saying you couldn't. It'd be very difficult, but it's not just an incentive question for where could Apple go do this somewhere else. China was an amazing partner for Apple. They tailor-made policies. They exempted all sorts of taxes. They had people coming in from the hinterlands working, millions of them, hundreds of millions of them, in fact, moving over the last few decades. It's very difficult to see that playing out in India. I'm not saying it's not possible in India. I am saying it's not possible in America for a whole host of reasons. But yeah, I mean, getting back to what you said about Trump, as strange as this might sound to say, Trump is a bigger threat to Apple's operations than Beijing or Xi Jinping is, because Beijing wants everything to be in China. And if that works for Apple just fine, that's great for their margins. Donald Trump wants a complete disruption of how Apple produces everything. That is a major threat for a $3 trillion company making $100 billion of profit a year.
Patrick, fascinating stuff. Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers, Andrew.
Patrick McGee, originally, as I said, from Calgary, and author of Apple in China, the capture of the world's greatest company.